Hey everybody! I promised you a little brief demo on how to save things not just as screenshots but as a little more detailed images, so you can turn stuff in at the end of the project. It looks a little better than just doing a screen grab. And I've kind of touched on this in a couple of videos already, but I thought I'd put it all in one. So basically all you really are going to be doing, once you apply, whatever kind of material you want to apply to your object, okay, let's just try this for now. For better or worse, there's something, okay. What you're going to want to do is click this BPR button up here, and that is Best Preview Render, which is the dumbest name ever because it's actually the best render, not the best preview render. Anyway, it just is. And when you do that, what you're going to see is, or most of you will probably see, is some really heavy shadows, okay? Really dense shadows on here. And you can make those a little more blurry if you like by going to Render, BPR Shadow, and just changing the angle from 0 to something bigger. Like, let's say 26 or so, and click BPR again, and it will then render, and you'll see what happens there. Those get softer. Okay. Now, if you don't want them that dark, what you do, I'll just turn this back up, go to Display Properties over in your Tool menu here, and under Display Properties, there's a almost hidden little button down here called BPR Settings. Okay, I lose it all the time, but it's there. So it's under Display Properties, and it's just the bottom thing in here. Okay. Once you open that up, you can turn off things like transparent shading, and I'll talk about that when we get further into the project, because you're probably going to want to put a transparent material on, like the fish eyes or something else, other things. BPR visibility, that has to do with transparency. But the big one I want to talk about here is just this BPR shadows. Okay. So you'll notice anytime you move your model, the BPR render goes away, okay, because it takes a while to render that. So if I turn this down to say 50, remember I made it blurry already, and then hit BPR again, what I'm going to get is transparent shadows instead of those black shadows, okay, and I can tweak this however I choose. 75 if I want them a little bit darker, and I should see that. Okay, so that's part one of this, just to kind of tweak the shadows a bit. If you want to tweak the lights, you can do that as well, but I'm going to get into that more for the final render, because a lot of these materials, lights aren't going to affect them, at least normal lights. You have to use a particular kind of light, and I'd just rather you guys focus on modeling right now. Okay, but I will tell you about it in a bit. Okay, so then once you get a pose you like, okay, so let's say I want to have one that looks something like this. Let's just make it a little more threatening like that. You hit BPR, wait for it to render, and then you go to the document menu. And this is the only time you're going to use these document settings up here. Remember, when you're saving your file, you go to File, Save As. If you do it over here and click Save As, you don't get a 3D file when you're done. You get a 2D file. And that's what we want for our picture, but not normally when we're saving stuff. So you're going to click Export, like this. It's going to give you the option of what kind of file. JPEG, I'll do a PNG here. I'll just call this fishy2. Click Save, okay? And what happens right here is it's going to save that as a regular, PNG file to wherever you asked it to, okay? In doing so, it's just going to save the document area. It's not going to save all the other stuff, and you don't have to do a screen grab, and it's going to be at a little bit better resolution than you would get with just doing a screen grab, okay? Now, if you do that again, I'll just do it as a JPEG here and click Save. What it gives you is a little bit different interface where you can actually drag these little crosshairs around to frame your image, Okay, and then you click OK and it will do so. It doesn't do that with PNG for whatever reason. It'll do it with JPEG though. Then you click OK and it will save that area of it into your, wherever you asked it to save. Okay. One other thing I wanted to mention is that you can not only save projects by going File, Save As, you can also save tools, okay? And this is a great way to be able to bring objects from one file into another file in ZBrush without having to open it up separately. And the way you do that is this Save As up here under Tool, okay? And all this does is save the model. It doesn't save all the other settings and things like you get when you do your project, okay? I'll just click this and I'll just replace what I've got in there, which is fine. And then I could open up a new project and then just load that tool into it. Okay, so if I went to Lightbox here, and I better save this first. That's fine. Okay, so I've got that guy saved. So what I could do, go to Lightbox, and if I just bring in, let's say, just a blank project here, like the sphere, click No, like so. I can go up here to Load Tool, and click that, open that up. That will be in here, and you see how it doesn't save any other information like materials and things with it. Okay, so here's where I started with this polysphere. I could then easily append my fish to that because it's going to show up in my list here, like so. Okay, and I could click on the sphere here and just scale that down, and my other stuff would still be there. Okay. The other thing you might have noticed is when you do the shadows for the BPR, if you have floor turned on, you get shadows on the floor as well. If you toggle that off, you won't see shadows on the floor. Okay, that will come into play when we do the final color renders that we're going to composite into a scene with your undersea scene, whatever you determine to pick or decide to pick, something like that. Okay, so if I rendered this right now, like so, you see these shadows on the floor. Okay, if I turn that off, all I get are the shadows on the object itself. I still get shadows, but they aren't going to show up on the floor. Did I click that? Oh yeah, they're there. You can see them there. Okay. All right, so that's how to save those guys, and then you can upload those in Canvas into, when you're actually done with the assignment on Friday or Saturday, whenever it's due, I don't remember, you can upload those images in the assignment portion of your module as well, rather than in the discussions, okay? Because the assignment portion is where this stuff is going to get graded. I grade the discussion stuff just by looking at it, okay? But these guys I want to keep in the assignment itself. So Canvas can track who's done and who isn't, okay? And it doesn't need to be any more detailed than this at this point, okay? We're going to go into details on how to detail at the beginning of next week, or I'll probably release some videos when this other one closes on Saturday, okay? All right, that's it. Hope this makes sense. If not, you know how to get hold of me. Ta-ta.